Welcome to the Minnesota Meatloaf podcast. Today we have Dave Sheridan, who's been in The Devil's Rejects, Scary Movie, and now in the new horror anthology, The Christmas Tapes, which is now available on most digital platforms. Welcome to the show.
Man, thank you. I'm excited to be on. Your podcast makes me hungry. We're right around time out here, Minnesota Meatloaf. Is there a difference between any other meatloaf and Minnesota Meatloaf? Is there something special with Minnesota?
Nope, I don't know. We just thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to because we do a mix of, we talk about a mix of entertainment, and we were trying to come up with a fun name for the show. And we thought, well, why not Minnesota Meatloaf? Kind of a mix of everything. So
got it. I've never made meatloaf. I've only eaten it. And of course the singer. You know what I mean? I don't know how he got a name Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Is he from Minnesota? I don't know. Prince was. Prince
yep.
Was from Minnesota,
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Still is. Prince is still from Minnesota.
Yeah. In the Christmas Tapes, you play a character named Paranormal Perry in the segment called The Christmas Spirit. Can you tell our listeners what the story's about and a little bit about your character?
All right, that's a great question. So we are doing video, but is this only going to be audio? Is that what you're saying?
It'll be both video and audio.
Okay, so I can show I can show the listeners too.
Yep.
Yeah, well, first of all, the name Paranormal Perry, and it's a found footage. The whole movie is a series of found footage, horror anthology, horror comedy. And so, obviously with Paranormal Perry, I guess you can sort of lead in that ours is sort of an homage to Paranormal Activity type of found footage, where there's another one that's more Blair Witchy, vlogger, and then there's another one that's more like a self sort of like a TikTok vloggy type of thing, where a guy, sort of Saw. It's kind of like Saw, but if the guy was like videotaping himself. But mine is called The Christmas Spirit, and it starts off about a young couple who's recently relocated to California from Denver, and they're just moving into their house just before Christmas or at Christmas time. It's Christmas Eve when I first go over there. Mm-hmm. But that the moving company, their truck is broken down in a snowstorm in Denver or whatever, and unable to make it. So they don't have any of their own belongings except for some stuff that they've packed. And so they get a inflatable, mattress, and go get a cheap, like a artificial tree, like this one back here. And basically, and then the lady, the wife that is, while the husband's out getting the mattress, she discovers a box that in a cupboard or whatever, where there's these old Christmas ornaments. And so she uses to put those out. Well, it turns out that they're haunted. You know what I mean? Well, they first think the house is haunted or there's a spirit there, but then we narrow it down to it is the Christmas ornaments. So it's tied to those. And they hire me, and I'm the only guy they can find that will show up. Matt's about to log in. Yep. I'm the only guy that they can find that will show up on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And the reason, and that's what sort of unveils is, why am I available? Why am I not with my family? Who the hell am I? What I mean? My character is kind of a amalgamation of a little bit of John Candy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and a What About Bob with a whole lot of, Chet, the cable guy,
Sure.
What I mean, from Jim Carrey's Cable Guy, and you don't know if he's just quirky or he's certainly unpredictable, and that's what makes you go, I don't know what's going on here with him. In my mind, though, he's just a really innocent, sweet, loving guy that might be slightly misunderstood. You know what I mean? But in the film, you don't know is he a part of a more insidious thing that's happening here, So yeah. What's up? He made it.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I was having a little problem here on this end. Had a little timing snafu, but glad I could make it here.
Dave, this is Matt.
Yeah, you're Matt. At least you're out of the snow. We didn't know if you were caught in a snowstorm, like a snow drift or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
He'd have to find you, and you look like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 40 below wind chill out here right now.
Jeez, I can't even fathom it. I lived in Chicago for 3 years, and I think the lowest it was when I was there was 15 below. And that was, your face froze instantly. So I can't imagine 40 below. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. So I jumped on, you were talking a little bit about the character of Paranormal Perry, and I was curious about how much of that was your improvisation and how much of that was directed or scripted.
Almost all of it was my improvisation, especially in the speaking to the development of the character. And I keep wanting to print out what Rob sent over as like the outline, because there really wasn't anything. And also it changed at the 11:30 hour. Originally was going to be I was coming with a female actor. We were going to be a husband and wife that was like bickering, and we were longly married, like 25 years, and the juxtaposition against this newlywed family couple at Christmas time, and sort of like a War of the Roses, entering a house, to get rid of a possession and the thing. But circumstances, happened where the actor couldn't make it. And so we sort of had to like scrap that and say, okay, you're just on your own. And then, well, who am I? You know what I mean? And since it was improv and stuff like that, obviously I was like, hey, Rob and Randy, the directors, were great at just like, let me go, hey, Dave, you're here. Put the best Dave on screen, put the most of what Dave does. You know what I mean? So like I did a full improvisational show on Fox called Free Ride. It was on 6 episodes. And my character was this guy, Dove. And even though Dove was way different, there's some similarities in sort of like the, loosen up the reins and just let me go and do my thing. And so the rest of the character sort of where it developed was initially right away of like, well, who is this? Why would this guy be available?
Yeah.
Why is the only guy? Because that initially is a red flag of, okay, let's invite some weird backstory to him that we got out. But as things progressed, when we say something in a scene, because we shot it in order, chronological order. So when I'm knocking on that door, walking in, going around the house, going downhill, all of that, we didn't shoot one thing out of order. It was all shot in order, leading up to the ending, which is at night. So we started at 8 a.m. and then, took a lunch break, and it's getting dark around. We shot that in June. So, we had lots of daylight. It was probably, it didn't get dark until 8 p.m. So we probably shot till 9 or 10. So it was a long day, but it's still only one day of shooting. And that's the beauty of rolling digital cameras, with this found footage. Is just roll. Okay, wash, rinse, repeat. Let's do the scene again. And each time you improvise it, you pick up little kernels and try to double down on that, or refine one joke, or say, hey, I got that joke. Let's try another joke. Let's go different. So the biggest thing to me was seeing what they decided to leave in, what they decided to leave out, because a lot of it, credit to them is I think it really works out great. Our short, it's really good, but it comes down to execution of the editing and the timing and what, knowing what to choose. And that was all them. So, yeah.
Well, I really liked it. And you did it, like you said, you did a really good job of kind of walking the tightrope, where I wasn't sure until the very end if you were going to end up being the threat or the savior or what was going to happen. So that was cool. Yeah.
And I would say that there was never a doubt. We did know where it was going. We knew that the spirit was in there, and because that was not improvised, meaning I knew that the things were set, the bell, the ornament that I was gonna find that was the possession ornament, and certainly the kills were already in place because the effects artist was already making those during the day, especially like the candy canes, and spoiler alert, But so we did have an ending in place. So, it was never, there was no option to go, if we created something, it's like, oh my God, it would be great if you were this guy. There was never that option. I mean, it would have, after me watching the film, it would have been nice to sort of mislead people with some writing on the box that she finds that could have suggested it was Perry's, you know what I mean? Like, PP Christmas ornaments or
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that, you know, oh, PP, you know, like it was like, did I plant that stuff in the house just to get,
Yep.
you know, like I knew I was going to be lonely. So kind of like a Frighteners type of thing. Did I plant? I'm already,
Sure.
like, was I already tethered to it? And I
Yep.
planted this thing. And is that horror thing? This is a thing I just thought about. Like, is the spirit that's in there? Is that my wife or wife and kids?
Right.
That could have been really creepy. Of like, hey guys, it's me. And the only way I ever get to visit them at Christmas time is by being able to have a seance with multiple people to draw. But it's my way of just having a moment with my family. That could have been kind of creepy. I didn't really
Yeah.
think of that
Yeah.
until now. So we're gonna reshoot the movie. I'll be right back.
There you go. Dave, do you like the horror genre?
I love it.
Mhm.
Yes, I love it. Why? How about you guys?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
I love it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Mhm.
Geez, why ain't we a pair?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I love it. I look, there's no difference in executing horror than there is executing comedy. They both, they're very similar in the fact of whether it's a jump scare or a really good punchline. You
Oh,
know,
sure, yeah.
they're both, there's reveals, there's reversals, there's, you know, impact, they have to be clean, you know what I mean? So a
Yep.
clean punchline and a clean jump scare in the art of filmmaking is the same way. Obviously, you need to build more tension, and you want to be able to build more tension with horror, but uncomfortableness in comedy is the tension. You know what I mean? The oil
Yeah.
and water of things, or just tension in general of like, you know, if you're watching those movies where, you know, even back in the Three Stooges, like they walk in one room and they walk out the other, or, you know, that Three's Company thing of like, they're hearing something and he's walking past and they don't know that he's there and he's down by the couch, or, you know, and he gets up and, you know, but ultimately the real tie with horror and comedy in this, that there is a need for levity in horror, which is
Mhm.
most of the time what I bring is to a lot of these other movies, whether it's Victor Crowley or Devil's Rejects or some more straight horror movies, is levity in a comedian in horror gives the filmmaker, the horror director, an easy reset, a quicker reset by having levity. If you're like, then you got to have a get the audience relaxed again, because you're not going to get, you can't do this. It doesn't work. You need to have the, you know what I'm saying? So how do you get back quickly in the short amount of time is by having levity, having comedic parts that get that audience quickly back to that sort of breathing normal reset. And then, you know what I mean? So I do see how now I'm in all these horror movies, how I serve a confident purpose to these directors, meaning they can count on me going, oh, we got Dave. He's definitely going to be the funny that we bring in to help do this. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I can, when we learned we were going to interview you, Aaron said that you had been on Buzzkill, and I can remember watching Buzzkill back in our college days, and I was a big fan of that. And you've done a lot of stuff over the years. And I Red Hot Chili Peppers videos and a couple other things. Like, I just was wondering that who is your favorite person to work with?
My favorite person from everything.
Yep.
Everything. Oh my God. Dave Sheridan. Me. I'm an egotistical asshole. No. Is there ever been a podcast where someone said it was Dave?
Right.
No. I've done
I don't know.
88 films. I wonder if there's one podcast. Who's your favorite person to work with? Oh, Dave Sheridan. No. Ooh, that's a great question. I loved working with Kurt Fuller, was great. Ward from I can't believe I'm drawing blank on his Corky Romano had some.
Oh, yeah.
So Chris Penn,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who played Columbo, Peter Falk, and Fred Ward. Fred Ward was such a professional. He's such a professional. So yeah, I just enjoyed. I think probably if there was like if I was a lost puppy who wound up with a best friend that I would want to be my roommate after a movie, it would be in Sex Drive, Clark Duke.
Okay.
Clark and I really hit it off, but I just could hang out with that kid all day. He's so funny, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any films or projects coming up that you can tell us about or can talk about?
No, mainly because I just signed a contract with the government, and they and it's not that I'm undercover or anything, but they basically said the world would be better if people didn't know about your films anymore. So
Okay.
we're gonna kill your kids if you mention any more of them. No, the next one, because we've got this one, the
Yep.
Christmas tapes. Just to let you know, everybody out there, it's a horror anthology. You know, kind of like what would you say, like like any of those Creep Show, like
Yep.
it's
Yep, like,
anthology of sorts.
yeah.
And it's strung up with a home invasion at Christmas Eve with the family that's going to watch the sort of standard fare of like Home Alone or Elf or Christmas Story or something like that. And he's like, screw that. You're going to watch these. You're going to enlighten, change yourself up. And he ties them all up with Christmas lights and stuff like that. And he has VHS tapes and he plays these VHS tapes. So that movie right now is streaming on multiple platforms. I would just Google the Christmas dates, or I think if you go to IMDb, it always says where you can watch it. You know what I mean? There's apps that tell you where the thing is, but it's also, if you want it in physical media, the irony is it's out right now only on VHS tape.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Retro
Awesome.
release. Yeah, retro release. So I think if you go to their website, retro release, and could do the Christmas tapes, you can actually buy it on VHS because it's a movie about VHS tapes. So it's kind of interesting. And
Makes sense.
so that's this movie now. My next one, believe it or not, I'm moving right into the next holiday. It's called New Year's Eve, and it takes place on New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a holiday New Year's Eve party gone bad, where it's almost like, it's not quite Die Hard. It's more like Scream set in an office party where, people are getting killed and we're shooting that in Kentucky. The great part about that one, why I bring it up, is we're doing it. The filmmakers are doing an Indiegogo for it. So I'm not involved in a lot of Indiegogos, but a lot of these ultra low budget or independent horror movies, I am placed on their Indiegogo. They raise the money with Indiegogo, and I was kind of skeptical at first, but now I really understand the symbiotic relationship of this is like a perfect tool for independent filmmakers, because you have a writer director who wants to get his film made, and he needs financing, and one of the reasons he needs financing is so he can go get some decent name actors that would sell his movie, because without some top line actors, it's really difficult to get distributing. And then the audience, who are the fans, they can go through Indiegogo and look at these different projects and sort of give it a, the Circus Maximus, thumbs up, thumbs down. I want to support this. And there's so many different ways at different levels, as something as low as $10 to get a thank you on IMDb or in the credit, to, doing something I love to do, which is buy the first edition, limited edition Blu-rays that they offer as a perk, which are autographed by the cast, including myself, because there you get like an original artwork that is, if Gravitas or Terror Films put this one out, this New Year's, the Christmas tapes, when a distributor puts a movie out, they change the artwork, they decide where the credits are going to be. They usually cut a movie down. No, we're not going to put those DVD extras on there, but the Blu-rays that these filmmakers make usually have a lot more extras. They're usually an extended cut because it's the director's cut. Artwork is different and it's autographed. So you get this wow, there's only 100 of these made and I got it for $40. So if you're a media collector, you should definitely be on Indiegogo. And it's not just horror. There's comedies, there's action movies, there's a lot of anime. A lot of anime being made. If you're an anime fan, you can get these, not being able to see anywhere else except for these Blu-rays that are being funded, then delivered. So if you're not familiar with Indiegogo and you're a fan of just independent filmmaking, or you're just a fan of consumer, collecting, media, whether it's animation, you understand, right?
So definitely.
Oh yeah.
Get on there. But
we're the target audience.
Yep.
Exactly. And so it's New Year's Eve at Indiegogo. It's in demand. So we're shooting in a couple weeks, but they're still raising money,
Okay.
and I recommend buying the Blu-ray, but you could become a producer. There's even still some availability to, jump on board to act for a day in one of our scenes, to get killed. There's still, hey, you want to get killed in a horror movie? This is your opportunity. If you can get out to Kentucky. We're shooting in Kentucky. And that's the other thing I like about when you said horror and stuff like that. Independent horror is the best part about it is I do a lot in California, but I also, man, I've shot in almost every state now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and with Buzzkill, we travel all over. So I think I'm a little bit of I do like to travel and see, cultures and people and cities and stuff like that. And so it's so much fun to go to different areas and work with filmmakers in those areas. Like they're not, they usually live there. They usually, their friends are a part of the production, and to see how culturally different some of these film scenes are in different states. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
They know where to go find the weird, spooky location down the road or whatever.
I need to come out there and do a convention because I haven't been out in your area. I know there's Crypticon.
Crypticon. I was going to mention that actually. I was going to ask if you've ever been to Minnesota with all your traveling.
With Buzzkill we did. Yeah, because we did. I told your partner Aaron, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Matt, Mr. Late.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember one of the pranks we did at the Minnesota Buzzkill was like the St. Paul Pigs or something like that. It was like minor league.
Yep. I remember that. It's St. Paul. It's the St. Paul Saints, but they have a pig for their mascot for whatever reason.
That's what it was.
Yep.
St. Paul Saints, but we did something with a pig. Like we had the person was coming out and winning something, and they actually had to kiss the pig or something stupid. And we were saying like squeal like a pig. We were doing the whole deliverance stuff with them.
Yep.
So
yeah, definitely. We'll maybe.
Is there a Comic-Con? Is there a Comic-Con that's a big one too, or not?
Nope. Just Crypticon is really.
Is it a big one? Is Crypticon more of a pop culture con? So it's not just horror. It's like
it's kind of turned into the pop culture.
They used to have. I think it was just called Comic-Con, and that was put on every year, and it was not huge, but it was decent size. And then for a few years, they did a Wizard World in Minneapolis, which was a bigger con. But then I don't think they do that anymore. I don't know if there was enough demand for it or what.
Wizard World folded, but it was just by Fan Expo or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So there are still Comic Cons, but I don't think there's a big Comic Con. But Crypticon is pretty big. Yeah, that's fun.
And one of my friends puts that on, so yeah, we can maybe have them get a hold of you. And
Wait, I point this way because that's what it looks like to me. But what if it was like you got it differently, and I'm pointing out, look at this, look at the side of the computer. I hope are you on this side? I hope so.
I'm on that side.
On mine.
I got it wrong, right?
Yeah.
I'm fucking over here.
Yeah.
Is this good? Am I like that?
Yeah.
Why is it different on my thing? It's not fair.
I don't know.
I like how we go through the whole thing. It's like, I really want to come out there. Oh man, Crypticon. And then at the very end goes, my friend runs that. Save 5 minutes of chatting. About another one. We had one called Comic-Con, but they couldn't come up with a good name. It was just called Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
Yep. Well, Dave, thanks.
We're going to talk then. Hey, we're going to talk. We're going to talk. Yeah, we should talk to your friend. I want to come out. I've never come out. Yeah.
It's in September, mid-September. I can't remember the exact date right now, but
I got a foot podiatrist corn.
Oh shoot.
Dang it. Only you'd known ahead of time.
You know what? I'll move it.
it. Okay.
Or I'll just bring a Dremel and we can have the fans.
There you go.
Yeah.
You could probably charge $5, $5 a piece, line up for the Dremel.
I know. I should just keep the skin shavings, you know what I mean? Put it on my next Indiegogo. I'm gonna do an Indiegogo after this one in February. I'm going to launch
Okay.
my first one.
Okay.
Because I get a lot of people saying, hey, you need to make another scary movie. You need to make another scary movie. You know what I mean? And I don't have the rights to scary movie,
Mhm.
but I think really what they're really saying is not the title scary movie. It's more like people want to see something. It's time for
Like
another
that.
big ballsed out, just be funny.
Yeah.
You know? And one of the things about any of those, especially scary movie and some of my earlier films, is people also go, you couldn't make that today. Oh,
Right.
you couldn't make that today. You couldn't make that today. Maybe that'll be maybe the tagline. We couldn't make it today, so we're making it tomorrow. Maybe
I like that.
There you go.
But it's it is my version of scary movie, and this is it's going to be called Canceled Movie,
Oh, nice.
and that's the poster.
I like
And,
it.
yeah, it's a work. I'm working on it still, but yeah, it's just going to be an anthology type of thing, but like more like Kentucky Fried Movie or you know, Groove
awesome.
2. I think there is going to be I don't want to give it away, but there is definitely sort of a line going through it that keeps it all together.
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's that one is actually a little heady. It's more like an Albert Brooks thing, like Defending Your Life. It's more about this canceled filmmaker who has to go in front of the, you know, Hollywood Board of Diversity and Equity, you know, and all this stuff, and he has to defend why his movies are being canceled. Because I just saw an article how now they deplatformed Blazing Saddles, so you cannot find Blazing Saddles.
Oh, really?
Anymore. And it was about the writers being like, you know, you're getting rid of something that's 40 years old, and if you go back to 40 years ago, what that statement of that movie was actually extremely progressive.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And now people are saying they're offended by it, but you have to put things in context to the time, you know what I mean? And actually it's not an offensive movie because of this, what it is about is actually what people, you know, what got people to this place.
Yep.
With all the equality or whatever situation we're in now, where things aren't always progressing, but that was a part of the progression. That was a major, you know, progressive movie that shocked people on purpose. So
Yep.
I think that's kind of what, even though this canceled movie is going to be balls out funny, it's still going to always make a satirical look of where we're at. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the snake eating your own tail.
No.
Right. Exactly.
No.
That'll happen.
No. Well, Dave, thanks a lot for taking the time to do this interview with us. And we really enjoyed the Christmas tapes a lot.
Thank you.
Seriously liked it a lot. And honestly, the Christmas spirit and your performance was my favorite part.
Oh, yeah, mine too, by far.
You know, and I did like, look, Vernon Wells is so good in it, and I loved his thing. Obviously, mine probably pops out kind of like with my performance in Ghost World, if you've seen Ghost World. It's like Harry and Dan, I was not originally in the script. I had this character, they saw it and they said, will you come and do a couple days and improvise? And we just came up with that. But that's why you watch that movie and it's like, boom. And it really is, you know, it's not so much me that made that thing like, oh, that's my favorite. It's what the story was, and the idea of that character was already like, I was already sort of 2 feet ahead of like, this is a really strong bit. You know what I mean? This is a strong story and stuff. And for me though, it's like, as you guys know, I'm at the last 15 minutes of the movie. You know, and I went to the premiere and I was like, I just, you know, I wanted the audience to get to me because you know, I want the people I want to see me on thing and the people reacting. But it was like, I'm like, so if you do watch the Christmas tapes, you know, please watch the whole thing because I'm not in it till the last 15 minutes. I guess I'm sort of like dessert at the end. I'm the cleanup hitter, you know. So,
exactly.
But it's fun. And it really is. People are. I'm not saying I'm shocked, but I am surprised, pleasantly surprised that for the most part, it's actually being, you know, like you're saying, like you guys liked it, like it's really being well received for such a tiny little film. And the good news is, since it's at Christmas and it's horror, I do think over time it's going to find its eyeballs. You know, it will find the audience because everything's out there nowadays. It's just a matter of, like with Victor Crowley, I'm starting to really see now people are seeing more of that. Do you know what I mean? It takes a sort of years for it to proliferate into the
Yep.
Well, and some of these things, they just stay dormant for years, and then all of a sudden it catches on for whatever reason. Someone makes a comment somewhere or whatever, and it comes back, and people go, "Oh, remember that?" And then it's all over the internet, and
right.
you know,
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome.
even "It's a Wonderful Life" wasn't a hit when it first came out. It wasn't until they started playing it on TV years later at Christmas time that all of a sudden it became the Christmas classic that everyone loves. So.
And it's such a good film. My son just watched it just today, and I went up in his bedroom. I caught him jerking off to it, and I was like, "Oh, you're building alone." He was like, "Well, I'm just watching." No, he wasn't. But I did say like, hey man, in my opinion, Frank Capra is like the original Steven Spielberg. I mean, like he was the first director that just blockbuster, like just he understood, like, you know, cookie cutter, great storytelling, but sort of epic for the time, because that is an epic movie for the time, the amount of thing. I actually have you know, they just made a Grinch movie called You're a Mean One. Are you guys familiar with that?
Oh.
And so I guess the Grinch is public domain. I don't know. But it's you know, I love taking ideas and putting them on their side. And this thing with Christmas got me thinking like, man, I want to do something, and this isn't a horror thing, but I can make it really crazy, you know, like funny with some violence, like Violent Night type of thing, like Turn on Its Side. And I thought of like the idea of doing a movie called Clarence about It's a Wonderful Life, how Clarence, Bailey, George Bailey, like he saved George Bailey from killing himself, and that was 7 years ago. But they bring him to like, you know, like a, you know, an intervention, like his boss calls him up before this season, and it's sort of like, yeah, you're 1 in 70. You're 1 in 69. Like ever since George Bailey, everyone else has killed themselves. You know, you haven't saved anybody. And it's because Clarence is a little goofy in that movie. And they're like, we'll give you one. He's like, just give me one more shot. And they go, we've been giving you 69 more shots. After the first guy died, we thought you'd pull together. So they look for like, they look for a no fail for Clarence. And it's a guy that actually is not having any problems and really isn't thinking about killing himself, but just at a pool table thing, with all the Christmas shopping and the hecticness, he's just like, oh man, some days I just want to kill myself, right? And that was enough to go, we got to sit Clarence on him, because Clarence can turn this guy around. He doesn't really want to kill himself. But it's like a what about Bob thing, that Clarence actually makes things worse. You know what I mean? And driving this guy crazy, you know? So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I think it would be good, because I think that's not something I need the rights to, because it's Clarence, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that's public domain, but even if I don't ever really mention anything about It's a Wonderful Life, people will understand the whole situation. So
definitely.
All right.
We heard it here first.
Yep.
I'm gonna reshoot the Christmas tapes where the seance should have been my family. I should have thought of it.
Awesome.
All right.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
The Dave Sheridan edition of the Christmas tapes.
I'm not gonna have Meatloaf tonight, but you know, I'm back home for a stretch. So I do think, and it's cold here. It's not that cold, you know, but it gets like 36 in California night. Like we wake up in the morning, it's like 34. It's like it was 34 today, but it jumps all the way to 72.
Right.
So it's like such an extreme, you know. It rains somewhere in between there. It rains like underneath a kitchen table or something like that. Yeah, I think a Meatloaf sounds good.
Okay.
The worst.
Well, thanks again, Dave.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks so much.
you.